Great League is coming back and Go Battle League, and I'm super excited because we're gonna analyze together 4 teams in total, showcasing their biggest assets and of course what you should be afraid of, as known as the core breakers. So with that said, I think we can start off with the first team showcase here, as we're having a Toxapex up in front. At the back we're gonna use Quagsire and Double, and this is gonna be a pretty strong team overall, kinda unique in its own way. And of course, how I learned about this team, I did not find it at all. I stole it from an opponent that I had in Go Battle League. I was losing a lot and then I was trying to copycat my opponents, and this team absolutely worked. I really like how well you can manipulate your opponents in thinking on that at the back you might have something like a Stunfisk or a Medicham, and then you can surprise them with that Double or the Quagsire. So the opponent I was facing was having Quagsire up in front, but I think that Toxapex is gonna work much better, especially against threats that your Quagsire might be afraid of, especially those grass types. So definitely an all-around pick that Toxapex is, because it is gonna be part poison and the grass types are no problem at all. You can still handle them with your sludge waves or simply with your own bulk, because if you didn't know already, Toxapex is an amazing bulky Pokemon overall for Great League. As a safe switch, we got Double, which is the upgraded version of Vigoroth, to be honest, on the Great League formats, because of Double Kick, able to land those, actually to charge up those charge attacks that you have pretty fast, and of course you get coverage not only to Body Slam, which is pretty spammy, and Stab, but also to pay back to punish those psychic types that might be up against you. And one of those psychic types is gonna be Deoxys, which is pretty neat, because it is kind of a counter to every normal type Pokemon, since it has access to moves like counter, but with payback you can always threat that Pokemon as well. Quagsire this season is an amazing Pokemon with the upgraded version of Mud Bomb and its addition to Quagsire's moveset, while Stone Edge is gonna help you a lot against the Flyers, and this team has complete coverage pretty much against anything. As a core breaker, I think that Gliscor here is gonna do a lot of solid work up in front against the poison typing of your Toxapex. Has a very good battle against Quagsire, and of course it all depends on whatever you are gonna throw on that Gliscor with your Double, because eventually they can always bring you to no HP with the Earthquake. However, you can also do the same with a simple payback. Into the next one, and we're using an OG team from the very early seasons of Go Battle League and Great League. So we're gonna use a Red Steel up in front, while at the back both Altaria and Medicham are gonna be 2 solid options overall to cover pretty much whatever you are gonna face in Great League. So I think that this team has only one core breaker, and I want to start from that point because this team is pretty straightforward. So starting off with Galarian Stunfisk, I think that is gonna be a troublesome Pokemon up in front, while your only answer and main answer against this Pokemon in the entire meta of Great League is gonna be a fighter, and that is Medicham. However, if you happen to encounter one Galarian Stunfisk up in front, do not switch out, sacrifice your Red Steel. You can still do a lot of damage with a Focus Blast or just draw the shield, which is a pretty nice one for your team. Then go in with a Medicham, see how they respond, and you can still have the upper hand even if they switch out, because having a Galarian Stunfisk up in front means that at the back they will most likely be weak to that Altaria of yours, because most Galarian Stunfisk up in front might have something like a Noctowl or a Lantern or even both sometimes in their backline. So you can definitely have some very good battles eventually with this team. I really like how well it can manipulate your opponents. You have access to pretty strong moves like Psychic, Zap Cannon, Focus Blast and Moonblast. Even Sky Attack can help you a lot from your Altaria, but if you do not have Moonblast, because this is a Community Day move after all, you can always use something like a Dragon Pulse. The main charge attack is still gonna be Sky Attack, so just be sure that you're gonna have Sky Attack on your Altaria and you're gonna be just fine. This team is very strong, kinda bulky, and I think that it has complete coverage against the meta as well. Moving on, we are meeting up with the amazing Alolan Ninetales. So Alolan Ninetales is one of these Pokemons that can be used with 2 different ways, either as a Charmer or as a Powder Snower. And I think that this Alolan Ninetales for this team composition perhaps needs Powder Snow more than Charm, because Charm will get you in some deep trouble sometimes, while with Powder Snow you get more play against your opponents, charge up to your charge attacks much faster, and also you can get there to the Dazzle Gleam, which is pretty nice if if you ask me. It is a pretty nice stab charge attack for Ninetales in order to nuke down unsuspected opponents. At the back we have Diggersby as our closer, and of course Drapion on its shadow. While for Ninetales you do not need that shadow for sure, well for Drapion you definitely need it, because as I have already said on this channel multiple times, I think that Shadow Drapion is in a complete different level than the regular form because of its ability to two-shot down a lot of meta Pokemon. Some of these Pokemon, for example, are gonna be Skarmory, Lantern, or even Altaria sometimes, or even Medicham, which is pretty nice. As a closer, I think that Diggersby is gonna work pretty nicely here, has complete coverage for its other two comrades, can protect them from the Galarian Stunfisk, for example, and I think that you can do a lot of solid work even against the Core Breaker, which happens to be another Steel type on the face of Registeel. So Registeel has a lot of play obviously against Ninetales, gets a close win against Shadow Drapion, and of course against Diggersby it will lose, but not before getting one Focus Blast through, which is pretty nice for Reggie. However, you can still play around this Pokemon. You got the Crunches from Drapion, you got the Earthquake and the Fire Punches from your Diggersby, so there is definitely a way to play around this Pokemon even when you're having it up on the lead up against your Alola Ninetales. Battlers, we are getting to the final team showcase here with the Alienator up in front. So Deoxys on its defense form is an absolute beast, especially now that Trevenant has not that much of big play in Great League. I think that Trevenant has a better fit in Ultra League, but that's a story for another rotation. And at the back we got Galarian Stunfisk alongside Noctowl. So this team has no weakness at all. Okay, I'm just gonna say it from now. And I think that the only core breaker that I have found out is gonna be Frostlass, which is still manageable even from a Rock Slide version of that Deoxys that you might have up in front. So at the back you still have options even against your Core Breaker, which is the Shadow Ball from your Noctowl, or just go pretty rough at it with your Rock Slides. But if you happen to encounter a Pokemon like Frostlass up in front and you have a Rock Slide on your Deoxys, just go for it, you are not gonna regret it. The moveset that I recommend going for your Deoxys when using a team like this is gonna be Rock Slide and Thunderbolt. However, if you want to use Psycho Boost, it's up to you. I recommend it as well, but I just enjoy not using Psycho Boost a little bit more because it gives me more coverage against certain threats. Also, I think that Galarian Stunfisk at the back as a closer can definitely have a lot of play, especially with the other two Pokemon protecting it from those fighters, which is pretty nice. As a safe switch, Noctowl now can do a lot of solid work against most threats, even against the Galarian Stunfisk that the opponent is gonna have with those Shadow Balls, and eventually if you have a high rank Noctowl, it can still put to no HP the whole Galarian Stunfisk, which is pretty nice. I think that this team has no weakness at all. Okay, I'm just gonna repeat it over here because I don't think that I have made a lot of sense before. This team also has a complete amount of charge attack to throw to the opponent, so you're looking at a pretty strong line overall that I will definitely do a separate video starting with Great League in the following day. So that is gonna be all for today, trainers. Thank you for watching and for staying till the end. Just be sure to leave a huge like before you go, and of course please consider subscribing to my channel if you want to go ahead and watch more of my content here on YouTube. With that said, I have two videos for you to check out, so feel free to do so, and I will see you all into the next one.